If you're worried about the world we're leaving to our children, well then it looks like your algorithm brought you to the right place. I'm the mom behind the mask. Welcome.
That's a messed up, man. I just walked in and found my freaking wife and her son having sex.
Okay. I mean, that's not funny. That's not actually funny at all. But what a way to start a video, right? Because today we're actually talking about inappropriate relationships between mothers and their sons. And I just recently learned that there's a term for it that we're going to talk about. And while this is a very extreme case, there is a much more subtle way that mothers sort of groom their sons into becoming their intimate or romantic partners. And it's actually called the Jocasta effect. Or Jocasta complex, It's a psychological concept describing a mother's often unconscious sexual desire or emotional attachment toward her son. And while it can be an inappropriate emotional or sexual relationship, it more often manifests itself as an overbearing maternal figure that interferes with her son's development and emotional relationships with other women. And some example behaviors include a mother sabotaging her adult son's romantic relationships, treating her son more like a partner or emotional confidant than a child, or creating guilt or dependency to maintain closeness and control. And I feel like this is the kind of thing that once you hear this definition of what the Jocasta complex is, you start to recognize it everywhere. I mean, I think it's one thing to think that your son is wonderful and amazing and that he deserves a great woman, and to just sort of be picky about the woman he's with, hoping that he'll end up with someone really amazing. But it's another thing to get involved in the relationships and to interfere with the relationships. And I think a lot of us have known someone or witnessed someone who has this type of dynamic with their mother. For example, I know I dated a guy, we were both young adults, but his mother still had access to his bank account, which did not seem odd at the time. Like I said, we were young, but still adults. And she would check his bank account very often, and anytime he would take me on a date or spend any kind of money on me, she would be calling him within the hour to bless him out. It was always an argument. We couldn't go on dates. We had to go on dates in secret, or I would have to pay, or he would have to get out cash. And it was just a whole thing. And then he would have to call his mother for opinions on everything. She was involved in our arguments. It was a whole thing. Another way this can manifest is a young man being completely financially and emotionally dependent on his mother because she has convinced him that he either is unable to make appropriate decisions, by guilting him into feeling like he's abandoning her if he wants to move out on his own or essentially start his own life, or by just constantly arguing or using manipulation tactics to focus all of his energy on their relationship and what's going on, causing a lot of drama and toxicity where there's a lot of arguing. And that just makes him emotionally unavailable for anyone else because he is so emotionally invested in the relationship with his mother without even realizing it.
Our mama taught us how to be their man that they want.
Bro, hey, I had to pull over for this one, real talk. Everything he said was 100% on point. My mama raised me, God rest her soul. My mama told me out of her mouth, I'm going to raise you to be the man that I've always wanted. And there's a lot of young men out here in this society who is the man that they mama want, but you didn't raise him to be a husband. So yes, he take care of home, he pay bills, he's a good father with his kids, but he wasn't raised to be a husband. He was raised to be your man. And everything I did was in honor of my mama. And I love my mom dearly, but I want to tell y'all right now, sons need the balance of fathers. I don't care what nobody says. He needs the balance of fathers. So we got to flip the script right now because, man, I was my mama's man.
The more I looked into this, the more I needed to know what causes this. What are the risk factors here? Because there can't just be an influx of pregnant mothers who are secretly PDF files who want to treat their unborn sons like their husbands. That cannot be. But then you hear about the hashtag toxic boy moms, and you think, is this just a natural thing that occurs?
They're never gonna guess I'm your mom, because baby, this is Jessica Rabbit. What's a bigger flex than your kid thinking you look good enough or cool enough to be his date to his prom? Raising a man of his word, as he spoke this into existence 10 years ago.
If like prom was around these years, I would have went with my mom.
Why?
She's not married. She looks nice.
Well, it turns out the biggest risk factor for having this type of relationship is being a single mother. And I know that's not what you want to hear, especially if you're a single mom. And I'm not saying all single moms do this, of course, but it is the biggest risk factor. And I think that's because, we hear that phrase when maybe the father of the home passes away or a divorce happens and they're telling their son, you're the man of the house now, right? Well, that's not really just a saying. I think that is a natural thing that happens when there is not a man in the house, and as a son starts to grow up, he becomes the man of the house. He wants to protect, he wants to provide. Naturally, he has those desires. And I'm sure it is easy to naturally slip into that role. But as the mother, if you're a single mother, it's up to the mother to define and distinguish those boundaries.
I'm a single parent. I had to work. This kid would pick up his two little sisters, make sure that they eat, make sure that their homework was done. If I had to stay late, he'd make sure they took a bath and put them to sleep. And then he changed.
I'm tired. I'm depressed. I'm tired.
Oh yes, emotional incest, also known as covert incest, is a real thing. As adults, we all have emotional needs, but those needs must be met by another adult. In emotional incest, the parent turns to the child to get that adult-level emotional support. A parent relies on their child and treats them like an adult. The parent talks about inappropriate topics or asks the child's advice on adult matters. When a parent does this, they are essentially stunting their child's development. In a healthy parent-child relationship, the care goes from the parent to the child, and that's exactly the way it should be. It goes from the adult to the child. Children do not want to know about your relationship problems, your mental health issues, your financial struggles. They just want their parents to be happy, and they want to be taken care of.
Women who raise boys and men without a father in the picture. Those who know. Electrocomplex. Obviously, we'll draw the line at like physical incest, but you want your son to take the place and fill the void of a partnership for a man in your life. And so what happens is he takes that role where it's like, oh, this is my partner in a sense, because he feels that void where we're going out, we're doing things, it's male energy, right? And then what happens is another woman comes into the picture. She's threatening your position. It's like, who this hoe, right? But you can't reconcile it because you're his mom. Moms struggle with relinquishing the role of who the woman and the primary person in that man's life is going to be. In healthy dynamics where the mom is married and the mom is in a happy relationship with their partner, this doesn't happen. When the mom is married and in a healthy dynamic with their partner, this doesn't happen.
Like she said, when a woman is in a healthy relationship with a healthy dynamic and her needs are being met, this does not happen. And this is not all single mothers. I want to continue to clarify that. This is not all single mothers. But this happens when, like she said, the male energy, there's a male energy around. And as we're going to see in this next video, it kind of talks more about the emotional state of the woman that typically has this type of relationship with their son.
Hey Jim, what would lead a mother to treat their son like a romantic partner?
This is what we think of as mother-son enmeshment, and there can be lots of reasons. One could be that the mother herself is very emotionally immature, or maybe a narcissist. She could be living in a lonely and loveless marriage. Needs are not being met. Project those onto her son, maybe beginning to burden him with duties, responsibilities, or make him a surrogate partner, confiding in him overly. When the woman is codependent and her emotional hunger is then projected onto her son, she might be overprotective of him when he's young and then later starts to burden him with adult things he shouldn't be concerned with, and then fosters incompetence in him at some times as well. The man themselves is often burdened with guilt, and because he's trauma bonded with his mother, has a really hard time setting any kind of limits with her.
So what can we take from this? There are so many reasons a woman could end up raising a son alone. And that's not to say that she can't raise a well-rounded young man that will be a great husband, that will be a great member of society, right? But this is the biggest risk factor for these type of relationships. So what do we do? Well, as parents in general, we need to do everything we can to make sure that we are emotionally mature, emotionally available to our children. We're not burdening them with our responsibilities as adults, our social issues, our relationship issues, our financial issues. We need to make sure that we have a healthy dynamic between parent and child. And like he said, this is typically a woman that is emotionally immature, who's not in a fulfilling relationship, who is not having her emotional needs met. That's a common factor in every video that we've seen today, is that if a woman is not getting her emotional needs met, she will likely turn to her son to meet those emotional needs. And this is not something that's done on purpose. It's a slow process that happens over time, and he becomes his mother's confidant, his mother's friend, his mother's emotional rock, if you will. And if you ask me, I think more than ever, we need men who are emotionally stable, emotionally mature, emotionally available, who can be good husbands, who can be good members of society, who can be strong in their faith and in their morals. And if they're being raised by mothers who don't allow them to do that, who stunt their growth, who stunt their maturity, then our society is headed for a very dark future. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments and your experiences as well. If you know someone who is in a relationship like this, or who has had a relationship like this, or if you are in a relationship like this yourself. If you're still here, I thank you for watching, and subscribe if you like.
Let me tell you something. That's my motherfucking name.
Babe, you got
That's
my phone.
my motherfucking.
Babe, you got my phone.